Hi, it's the 28th of December 2016, and I spent the whole day with my daughter, and I'm still suffering from this cold. And of course, what I will talk about is this article that was published in the New York Times today about the HIV and AIDS situation in Russia. And the title of this article is HIV cases surpass 1 million in Russia, but little is done. Now, actually, this is something that we've been talking about. Sorry, I'm just looking at my phone at this very article. This is something that we've been talking about for years, how the situation has become disastrous in Russia, but not only in Russia, also in, um, in other countries of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. It's it is a real disaster. It's a catastrophe in the waiting, or maybe no longer in the waiting. Just read this article. It's already quite alarming, and if you also take to this or add to this and take into consideration that much of these numbers is tempered with and not necessarily true, then the situation's even worse. And we really have to do something about it. And it's just so very frustrating to see all the large international organizations like WHO, especially UNAIDS, um, and and also to some extent the International AIDS Society, which just cannot do anything. I mean, even if they want to, although in some cases we have doubts whether they really want to, they just can't do anything. It's just such a large country. I mean, Russia, and politically and otherwise so complicated and difficult to understand for people working in the HIV and AIDS field, because it really would need complex diplomatic resources, attention, skills, advisors who are familiar with the situation in Russia and in neighboring countries around Russia rather than just HIV and AIDS, because that's not sufficient. It's not sufficient to try to repeat those models and try to repeat those mantras that we've been doing in the West, because they don't work in Russia. They just don't work. Because the whole society is so different and the setting is so different, and it's just, I'm so desperate. 25,000 people died of AIDS last year. How? How is that even possible? And then, I give this interview, and then someone says about this. And then someone says, yes, but there's no evidence for the 25,000 deaths because the government statistics don't show them. And then we just go round and round and round in circles. And I say, well, yes, but that's part of the erasure of this whole problem, because then you say you only trust government statistics, but that with the same breath you also say that you don't trust government statistics. And then, while we keep debating about government statistics, people keep dying of AIDS. It's not good, to say the least. So you know what? Just read this article, because it's really a very good description of the problem, of the situation, and it's absolutely devastating. It's devastating. So the ATG, especially with input from Brian Teixeira and Luis Mandao, the ATG will also do a lot and a lot more about Eastern Europe and Central Asia, and we've been trying already in hepatitis, but it's just very complicated. But something must be done, because this just cannot go on like this. So join us, do join us in this fight. People should not die of AIDS in Russia or anywhere. It just shouldn't.